welcome. It's your man, God of Dots, and we are back. We are back. Hope everybody had a very good weekend. Hope you enjoyed all the good games that was played. We're going to talk about it. Back to our regularly scheduled programming for this week. Tune in on Thursday. We will be doing the preview for the upcoming week 5 of NFL action. And I'm still working on some material for the Kickback Show on Friday. Still working on some material for that. How you doing, Miss Teresa, Miss Merv? How y'all doing? Dr. Nikki's in the building. As always, happy to see Dr. Nikki. Did you get a chance to watch Georgia, Alabama? Did you get a chance to watch that game? Just let me know, yay, nay. It was a great game, and as I'm watching the game, you know me, I'm thinking of stuff for shows and ideas. The passion that people have for college football, the majority. Yeah, I know you the exception. For the majority, the passion they have for college football versus professional football, the NFL, is, you can tell. It is a very distinct difference between how much passion a person puts into supporting a college football team versus supporting a NFL team. And I may get into that on Friday's show because it's something that we really kind of have to look at. You got to kind of have to really look at, because one thing I can say about college football, and this is one of the things, I don't want to get too much of the show away. I don't want to get too much of the show away for Friday if as I'm working on the material for that. But one thing is, the major difference from college football to from the NFL. NFL, well, the rivalries, of course, and I'll elaborate on that at another time. But this, I wouldn't even call it hate. I would just, in some cases, for some people, it's hate. But the strong dislike for your rival is on a much higher level. I was having conversations with people who support, and their thing is like, hey, if we beat our rivals, I don't care what the rest of our record looks like. I don't care how the rest of the season plays out. We beat them, I'm good. And you will not see that with the NFL fan at all. You will never hear, and I'm a Cowboys fan through and through, you will never hear me say, man, my season is complete if we beat the Eagles. Not never. But that's something we might want to explore on the Kickback Show on Friday. Like I said, I'm still working on material for that. One of our longtime supporters, Gator Girl, asked me to do a part 2 on the NIL stuff. She, kind of missed it, and we wanted to do a part 2, and it's a lot to kind of dive into that on so many levels. So we may be doing a little bit of that on Friday's show. I'm like that. Listen. I hate the Eagles. And we'll talk about them in just a second. I hate the Eagles, but listen, my season is Super Bowl or bust. And if you're a fan of your team, that should be the mindset. I could give, if we lose 2 games to the Eagles and it gets me a championship ring, sign me up. I'm just saying. But college football is a little bit different because the hate they have for a rival, Auburn, Alabama, Ohio State, Michigan, Florida and Florida. Listen, it don't matter how good or bad the team is, as long as you beat your rival. Your season is complete. Yes, Miss Murphy. Listen, I will take 2 blowouts. Give me 2 40-point blowouts to the Eagles, but it guarantees me a Super Bowl. Sign me up. Now, we did talk about last week before we kind of got up out of here for the break. Cowboys, winning a game that they needed to win to kind of get their footing up under them, taking care of business last Thursday against the Giants. I said then, and I'll continue to say now, it's a lot of things I'm not liking from what I'm seeing from the Cowboys as far as our offensive identity. And, with the injuries that we have on the defensive side of the ball, namely D-Law, Michael Parsons, top 2 pass rushers, they're bringing guys in. I expect some kind of differences to be, kind of expect more of a blitz type scheme. More men coming. Pause. But a more of a blitz heavy scheme. from the Cowboys going forward. But yeah, it was a win. I'll take it, but still not satisfied. Another team that should be not satisfied where they're at right now. And since you're an Eagles fan, Miss Burford, I see that you are here. Your team, after picking up a very big win against a very red hot New Orleans Saints teams, who has kind of brought themselves back down to reality the last 2 weeks as far as offensively is concerned, as far as the points they was putting up. Go out there and get manhandled. But granted, Tampa Bay has a very good team. It was a playoff team last year. Baker Mayfield is playing very well this season. There's a lot of talent still on Tampa Bay's roster, and it went out there and got manhandled. And from what I'm seeing, and you are an Eagles fan, and you're watching a lot more closely than I am. But one, I think Nick Sirianni is out after this season. And something is still wrong with that the communication between quarterback, offensive coordinator, head coach, or whoever's calling the plays. It is still a disconnect with Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is right now leading the NFL as far as the quarterback position is concerned, with the amount of turnovers that he has. And listen, he hasn't been playing well this year. He didn't play well last year. A lot of people point to the 2022 season when he was playing like at an MVP level. I don't want to say that's Jalen Hurts' ceiling, but the last 2 years, like I said this all last year. If you listen to the show, it has been a big disconnect. It has it has been a big disconnect between Jalen Hurts and the scheme or whatever they're trying to run up there in Philadelphia. Granted, you're without your top two receivers. AJ Brown is out. Devontae Smith is out. But it seems like Jalen Hurts, I don't want to put the blame on him, saying he's not computing well, or he's not getting it, or he's making the wrong reads. It has been a disconnect. This stems from all the way from last year. Between Sirianni, the changing of the coordinators, play calling duties. I said it then, and I'm seeing it again now. Even though they're at 2-2, and I think you put a lot of that 2-2, put their record a lot on the talent that they do have in Philadelphia. But something is wrong. Something is wrong, and like I said, I don't want to put it all on Jalen Hurts, but I think Nick Sirianni, you're up out of there. After this season, unless Philadelphia makes a run to the Super Bowl, he's up out of there. It has been a mess offensively since he's kind of taken over as head coach, and they paid Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is the quarterback of this team. It's not like a Carson Wentz kind of situation. You got to do something to kind of get him back on track, because he is still a very good quarterback when able. But the last 2 seasons and this season thus far, I ain't seeing it. Teresa said, Cowboys and Steelers. That is a game coming up on our schedule. I'm looking forward to that one. Speaking of looking forward, let's look forward to the rest of these games as I kind of recap. I want to kind of get to the big ones, the ones that matter, or the ones that was on my radar. I'm just going to put it to you like that. Ravens take care of business against Buffalo. Buffalo came into the game undefeated, and Baltimore is gotten back to what Baltimore is. And when I say is like they've gotten back to their identity. Very rough couple of first 2 weeks. Winnable games come down to plays at the end, but a heavy dose of Derrick Henry. And I think they're starting to figure out how to use Derrick Henry in this offense. Baltimore has been a run-heavy team for the last couple of years, especially since Lamar Jackson has become the quarterback. But they've taken a different approach, and I like the approach that they're kind of taking with Derrick Henry, and it's kind of I wouldn't say evolved the run game, but it's very much changed the run game in Baltimore, where you see him either in the I formation, or he's getting the ball on tosses. And that allows him, like, he's a much different running back than they've had in Baltimore for a number of years. Anybody that's watched Derrick Henry play knows he's not one of those guys that's dancing behind the line of scrimmage trying to find a hole. He's the guy, hey, I form, give me a fullback or give me a toss. Let me get ahead of steam. Trust me, guys are not lining up. Listen, how Antonio Pierce, head coach of the Raiders, say guys are making business decisions. Do you really want to um, be in front of Derrick Henry as he's coming to you with a full head of steam? And it has changed. It has changed life. It has changed life in Baltimore. Like I said, they're finding ways to fit his style of running into what they do as an offense, and it's making Baltimore scary. It is making Baltimore scary. That run game is scary. When you can still consider you have the threat of Lamar Jackson taking off, using the play action and all of that. And granted, his offensive numbers as far as passing are not, I guess MVP-ish levels, but I think Lamar Jackson is playing very well right now, especially over the last 2 weeks. And Buffalo, I'll make my assessment, in the next 2 weeks on where I think teams are, headed as we reach the first quarter of the season. But Buffalo, it was never close. Buffalo was out of it. Sometimes you just have games like that. Buffalo has had a very good start to the season, a much better start than I anticipated them having, considering some of the guys that departed over the offseason in Buffalo. But it happens. You get beat up, you get blown out. Just don't make a pattern of behavior. If you're trying to go someplace with it. Speaking of going someplace with it, we have the Raiders, who I'm gonna be honest with you, got a lucky call against the Cleveland Browns to take that game. But the biggest news coming out of Vegas is Davante Adams, Pro Bowl wide receiver, has requested. This is this according to the sports reporters and rumors and stuff. It is his requested a trade from the Raiders. This is a move that a lot of us kind of anticipated happening during the offseason, considering the quarterback situation, considering the age of Davante Adams, his want to be in a more championship ready environment. And teams are kind of the Raiders have kind of put the feelers out there that, hey, he is available, but only to team with the right offer. If I'm Vegas, I would trade Davante, just for the simple fact I think the Raiders have a good squad there. I think they're building something good there. And why not? While the market value is still kind of high for Davante, he's still got some value in this league as a number one receiver. See what you can get as far as package deals, draft picks, whatever, from a team that is chasing a playoff berth. There's been talks of him possibly being traded to the Jets, them being interested, reuniting with Aaron Rodgers. It's a lot of rumors going on. But if I'm the Raiders, and if you're a Raiders fan, you may not want to hear this, but if I'm the Raiders, I'm getting off of Davante Adams. It's going to be another quarterback here next year, more likely a rookie. This is a young team. You're trying to build a young roster. Davante Adams doesn't fit into your long-term future. Fits into the short term, but doesn't fit into your long term. Take this opportunity, get what you can for him, get future assets and that kind of stuff for him. Looking at some of the other games, some of the other notable games, Chiefs remain undefeated. In another nail biter against a very game Chargers team, and Kansas City is kind of worrying because you're winning close games, and that is something that should be applauded. And you have the resilience and the steel nerves when the going gets tough and the game gets tight. You guys make plays, but I mean, how long are you going to keep living on the edge? Because sometimes the calls don't go your way, the bounces don't go your way. I'm not, it's a 4-0 team, but I'm not looking at Kansas City as being leaps and bounds above the rest of the AFC. I'm not seeing it. And I don't want to say they're playing down to their opponent, but this was a game. You come in undefeated. You know the team, and you're supposed to go out there and take care of business. I think Kansas City, losing Rashee Rice is going to have a big impact on the offense. I'm not sure what I'm seeing there. I mean, they're undefeated, but it's some questions there. It is some questions there. Speaking of questions, Washington Commanders, what you guys got going on up there? Washington blows out Arizona on the road. Jaden Daniels has another good game. Dan Quinn is doing a hell. Let me be a sidebar. Dan Quinn is got he's doing a hell of a job up there so far this season, considering you got a rookie quarterback out there, dealing with that. The defense is playing much better than they were last year, and they're not turning the ball over as much as they were last year. So Washington, it's a 3-1 start. I'm gonna wait a couple more weeks to kind of see where we at with it, but they may be one of those surprise teams. When we look back at the beginning of the season, I was one of those people, and a lot of pundits and analysts was not picking Washington to be in the playoff hunt, but they're looking like one of the better teams in the NFC right now. And we'll see what it looks like when they get into the real heart of their schedule. But congratulations to them being 3-1. Jaden Daniels is off to a very, very good start. He's clearly the leader for me for rookie of the year so far. But it's still early in the season, so I don't want to get too hyped over. Speaking of being too hyped, Minnesota Vikings also remain 4-0, holding off the Green Bay Packers. Return of Jordan Love. He looked rusty during that game. But the Vikings got something up there. If you haven't been watching the Vikings, take a closer look at this team. Take a closer look at this team. I think this team is for real a legit contender right now in the NFC with the way Sam Darnold is playing, with the way this offense is playing, and especially the way that this defense is kind of coming together. They got something up there in Minnesota. It may not be a lot of household names outside of Justin Jefferson and maybe Harrison Smith, but if you're watching what they're doing up there in Minnesota, they got a good thing going. Is they're playing winning football, and I will say that playing winning football. And they're playing. When I say winning football, that I'm talking about football that can be sustained throughout the course of a season, that is effective and leads to wins. Those dang Swifties. Oh man. Well, in honor of Gator Girl, and I like to pick her because I say this is her team. Jacksonville Jaguars lose again. Is it time to bench Trevor Lawrence? Is it time to bench Trevor Lawrence? Just the noise is growing louder and louder from Jacksonville with with each week that passes without a win, and his performance doesn't get better as the season has kind of started. Is it time to bench Trevor Lawrence? You've invested a lot of money into this guy. A lot of money into this guy. He's one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the league, but he is not playing like it. And that I said this before the season. Jacksonville was one of those teams I was not going to be confident in picking because this is a very Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde type team where for stretches of the game, they look like, hey, a real contender in the AFC when they are able to kind of put it together for the stretches. But this is not they don't play winning football. They don't play sustainable football. It is hard to get behind Jacksonville because they'll look good for a quarter. They'll look good for a quarter and a half. They may look good for a half, but for a full 4 quarters, haven't seen them put it together yet. Looking at the rest of the schedule, Falcons last second field goal against the Saints. That was a very good game to watch. Saints 2-2, Falcons 2-2. Falcons, I will say this as far as a little concern, and I have a concern for the Saints. Kirk Cousins still doesn't look as comfortable in the offense that I thought he would at this point of the season. It may be some still lingering issues from his injury from last year, but Atlanta's offense has not kind of caught up to the defense. Defense, I think, is playing very well. Offense has sputtered along. Bijan Robinson has not been as effective as far as yardage is concerned as I thought he would be. So that's something to kind of keep an eye on if you're a Falcons fan, Saints fan. I mean, you're 2-2, kind of where a lot of people predicted you would be one of those middle of the road type teams. Offensively, Derek Carr has kind of crashed back to earth after the spectacular run through the first 2 weeks of the season. Him and the rest of the offense has kind of crashed back down to earth. The yards have gone down, the points have gone down. The winning football has kind of disappeared out of the room. So that is something, I'm going to be monitoring, as we move forward through the rest of the season. Saints, a lot of people's looking at them as world beaters because they, smoked the Cowboys and all of that. But that's just one game. This is one game. I don't know if you still feel the same way about the Saints now? I highly doubt it after losing their last two. I doubt it. Looking at some of the other games of note, Steelers lose a close one to the Colts. Anthony Richardson out with a hip injury. I'm not sure how long he's going to be out. Joe Flacco is now penciled in, until we hear further. Otherwise, he's penciled in as a starting quarterback for the Colts. It gives them a chance. Flacco has winning experience. He knows what it's like to come in as a backup and be productive in this league. So I think the Colts are in a good situation. Granted, Steelers lost. I still think they're in a very good situation. I'm very encouraged by the progress I've seen with Justin Fields in this offense. Steelers will be fine. Steelers will be fine as long as the defense stays healthy. The Steelers will be fine. Jets lose a close one, 10-9 to the Broncos. Jets, it's kind of hard to kind of get a read on them. It seems like it's kind of the same issues that Philadelphia's having, some kind of miscommunication between the quarterback and what they're trying to run as an offense. Jets right now have not established an identity. Are we a balanced team? Are we a run heavy team? Are we a pass heavy team? They're still kind of like trying to figure it out. And then you kind of get the performances that you got. Against the Broncos at home. That's something to kind of keep an eye on. And in closing, did I get the most notable ones? Yeah. The rest of them, whatever. I want to talk about the Alabama Georgia game. Best game of the weekend, best game so far in either side, NFL or college. Best game. Whether you are a fan of Georgia, whether you're a fan of Alabama, Roll Tide, it was very good football, very high level football from a lot of high level players. It was a joy to watch, and watching the game this makes it even more clear to me. And then we'll kind of dive into that on a later show. The passion that people have for their college football teams is so much greater. And it's a lot of factors that kind of, lend themselves to that. But the passion, you don't even have to be at the game when you're watching these rivalry games in college football. You can feel it through your TV. The atmosphere in the stadium as two rival teams are playing, and it takes it to another level when you realize. I wouldn't say all that. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Most watch football game and intensive football games so far this Georgia, Alabama. I can't name a NFL game where I'm like, wow, this is one of them ones. Maybe so far this season, Baltimore, Kansas City to kick off the season. Maybe. But you come on now, like I know when your season is made once you beat your rival. You can't say the same in NFL. You still gotta go out there and compete. Like I said, give me two blowout losses to the Eagles. If it gets me a Super Bowl, I'll take it. Now you can't have that mentality in college football. They don't care if we go 1-10 as long as that one is against you. But we'll talk about that. I'm gonna save some of that for because we need to take a closer look at that. Why is that? We'll take a closer look at that on. I guess I can put that into the kickback rotation. We'll do kickback on Friday. Of course, we'll be here on Thursday to preview Week 5. There's a lot of good games on tap for Week 5. Let me kind of take a sneak peek here as I'm looking at the NFL schedule. What's some of the big games for Week 5? Let me take a quick peek here. You got Jets, Vikings. Look, could be a pretty good one. The Thursday game, Tampa Bay and Atlanta should be a good one. Divisional game. Bills, Texans could be one. Bills, Texans. Let's see. Cowboys, Steelers, maybe Saints at the Chiefs. We'll see. We'll see. You know what? We'll be doing that on Thursday, same bat time, same bat channel. It's all. Side note, before we end the show. Side note. Side note. Side note. For those people who still use, I can't wait to share my theory on that, babe. Have it ready. Have it ready. For the kickback, because I'm interested to hear what your theory is. I have another kind of. I got several theories about why that is. But we'll save it for that show. Don't want to give too much away. But side note before we end the show, for those who still have StreamYard and still are paying for it, StreamYard is slowly bringing in features that they should have had a long time ago. Now, when you begin a live stream, you can automatically have your intro video playing instead of having to click on it and wait for it to play. And as you end your you end your stream, it ends out with your outro, which I think is long been overdue. Keeps you focus on the content, keeps you kind of really focused on monitoring your chat, where you're not having to jump around. And those who are on stream, y'all know what I'm talking about, when you're not having to jump around between banners and your brand and gifs and background. You're able to kind of, they're trying to make it easier. I mean, they should for what they're charging, but that's just a lifestyle change. Something that just came out. I tested it out today. I'm gonna test it out again when I end the stream in just a second. But quality of life stuff coming to StreamYard for those who are interested in that. They're trying. End you off with the phrase over here: sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, but every time you learn. And I'm out.